Hey gang, how's it going? We're getting a bit of snow here since it's Canada and winter is coming, as the Starks say. I'm pretty sure they were Canadian. So I've been inside doing a lot of fleece and fibery stuff to sort of keep myself occupied. Much to the cat's chagrin, it's been too cold for them to go outside to their catio. So they've been really active inside the house as usual. Any banging around you hear is likely them. So let's start with the review of last week. I was spinning Shropshire from the fold, and here is the finished product. I'm pleased with how it turned out. It's very springy. I haven't, of course, obviously washed or set this yet, but it's still very springy. So once I wash it, that twist will be even more activated, and this will have a crazy amount of spring to it, which is really good for socks because that helps with the memory. Now, for this week, I had a request on what to do with Teeswater. So I got these Teeswater locks from the MWL Wool Mountain online. I will try to remember to put a link below. I found them on Facebook. You can see how beautifully these are dyed. I ordered up 2 packs. This one is, 100 grams each. The first pack I've already separated out. I guess this side would be better, right? That was the kitty cats. And you can see how I've got all the locks laid out. Now here's the length of them. They're very pretty. And what we're going to do is tail spinning. So here is the first piece of finished yarn I did. Now, I prefer to ply my tailspin yarn. I just have a hard time spinning a balanced singles. I know it's something I have to learn to do, but I'm just not great at it yet. And I do love tail spinning because you get all these lovely, lovely long tails hanging down. And likely next week I'll have an example of a project, knit or crochet with this yarn. Although really, you could just wear it as a necklace and it would be really cool. I kind of like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do my tail spinning. There are hundreds of videos and methods on how to do it. This is just what I find works for me. Normally I would work on a plying head just to give me more room for those tails to get through. But I know most people, well, not most people, but some people don't have a plying head. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my regular flyer and I'm going to spin some tail spun yarn. I'll just reset and I'll demonstrate for you. Now for extreme tail spinning, the first thing I always do is I separate out my locks. Let me just grab the undone bag here. I love these bags, by the way. I think they're very cool. So when you get it, it generally looks like this. So what I'll do is I'll rip off a chunk. So basically you just want to find your tips and you want to separate each individual lock. You're going to have some that won't be salvageable. I just save them to use as plying wool or for other projects. I love these colors. They're so gorgeous. Just work your way through, laying out your locks. Try to maintain as much of the lock structure as you can. You don't want it to get too fluffy. The ends is good because that's the end we're going to be spinning. but you don't want it to get fluffy all the way up. So grab from the middle if you can, and then tear. And that'll keep your curly tips intact. Just work your way through, separating out all your locks. Save that one for later, which I did with the other bag of locks I got. These are Teeswater. They're, I'm not sure. How long do you think that is? It's long, very long. And I've never worked with Teeswater, so I was very excited when I found a supplier. And all right, so let's start. Now we're going to need a bit of a leader to start, so I'm going to take some locks. I know it hurts. It hurts. But I used up all my fluffy stuff, so I'm going to have to make some fluffy stuff. One more. Should probably be enough. You want a bit of non-tail yarn at the beginning so you have something to, cast on with or just basically start your yarn. Now I have noticed that some of these locks have a bit of a break in them. They have a very tender spot. So they might not be the best for extreme tail spinning, but I'm doing it anyways because, I'm just like that. And, sheep are animals. They do have things happen, but you can see right here that there is a bit of a break in this fleece. Not a deal breaker for me. You still get 90% of the lock. And, I've worked with breaks before. It doesn't really bother me. Now, fluff it all up. And it's not all the locks, by the way. Just some of them have it. So it was probably just one tender spot on the sheep. It happens. You can't test every single lock. All right. So I'm using my regular head on the slowest whirl with a fairly high uptake. And because I'm going to ply, I'm starting counterclockwise. So I will just get a bit of a start here. Now I've got the uptake very high for working with the locks, so I'm just going to turn that down a bit so it's easier to spin. There we go, that's better. If you're not fighting your fiber, it's much easier to spin. It should just take it from your hands, not snatch it. As a new spinner, that was something that took me a while to learn. Was actually not having a whole lot of uptake is a lot easier. And I'm not worrying about balance or how much twist. I'm just basically making a start to the yarn and I'll work from there. I'm trying to shoot this with my back camera so that you can see better. I just shoot on my cell phone. So it could be, it's a little hard because I can't see what's going on very well. So this video could be a little iffy, but I'm just trying to get you in nice and close so you can see what's happening. All right, so we have a bit of a start to our yarn already on the wheel. And now we are ready to start with our locks. Let me just adjust a bit so you can see what's going on. So we have our lock. What we're going to do is take the cut end and open it up into a Y formation. Can you see that? We're going to take our yarn and we're going to do a worsted join. So lay it on top of the fiber, let it take up the twist, work your way through that first leg of the Y till you get to the lock. Then spin the center. Don't worry about the lock winding on. It's not in the twist, so it's not locked there. But it is locked into the twist. So we get to the center. Here's another little trick. Hold on, let me make sure this is on camera. It is. All right. flip your lock up so it doesn't get caught in the twist. Grab a little bit of fiber here and then wrap that right there at the base and then pull it down. And what that does is it locks in the base of that lock quite well. Now, I just need to, I need to up my tension. That's why it's being such a pain. All right, but you can see that it actually fits through the orifice, and I lost my twist. Okay, hold on. Get back to here. So I'm not going to try to reattach that one. This can be a bit fidgety and annoying, but it's also a very beautiful yarn. So to me, it's worth it. You may decide it's not. I'll show you some other ways you can do this too. Of course, you can prep the tails of your locks too before you start spinning, so there's less fussing at the wheels. So it's just ready to go. Just make sure that your tails don't get locked into your twist. You want them to hang down, so you can't lock them into your twist or they won't hang down. Let's take a yellowish one and throw that in there. Throw it up, grab a little pinch, and pull down. Make your Y. Oh, geez again. Worsted join to the V, pull your lock ahead, grab a little pinch of fiber, and pull down. And locked in. Make your Y or your V or whatever you want to call it. This is really good for getting good at your joins. Worsted join, down to the V, pull the lock ahead, grab a little pinch. Whoop, maybe I was going the wrong way. And pull it down. There you go. Grab your lock, fluff the ends with a split in the middle, like a Y or a V, whichever you want to call it. Now we're going to do a worsted join to that V. Flip the lock ahead, grab a little bit of fiber from the side, and pull that down. And that will lock it in. Let's do that again. Grab your lock, take the cut end, split it, fluff the fibers, do a worsted join, spin up to your little V. You got to keep hold of that little tail there. Pull out a little bit of fiber and pull it down. And your lock is locked in. Okay, I need to hand wind on again. As you can see, it's not really clogging up my flyer very much, but this is a Lendrum and it does have a sliding flyer, so it's not hooks. I don't know that I would attempt this with a hook flyer. All right, here we go again. Take your lock, cut end, split it, fluff out your fibers, worsted join to the center of your V. Flip your lock towards your orifice, grab a little bit of fiber on the side, and pull it down. And there you go. There are other ways to work with long locks. You can just fluff it up or just grab a handful. Let's just grab a handful here. Just take a bundle of fibers and join it on and just start drafting it. And when you see these tails coming up, just let them stick out. I'm not pulling on very well here. I think that's what's happening is because I'm not working with my plying head, I'm overspinning my core and it's snapping. Because basically this is a coreless core spinning technique. You're making the core as you go. All right, so as you can see, I'm just letting these tails just wrap in as they come up. And draft. There's one, I'll just leave that sticking out. And there you can see you're still getting tails hanging off your yarn. Still makes a beautiful yarn. So we'll do another one like that. Just grab a handful of fiber, bunch it all up in your hand, join it wherever, just let it do its thing. And then as you come to pretty curls, just move them out of the draft so that they just kind of wrap around the yarn. And then you get these little tails sticking off randomly. Oop, holy, got really thin there. So I'm going to rejoin. And you'll see that you naturally get tails hanging off your yarn, but they're secure. And it's much less fussy way of spinning. You can also, let me just find a nice fat one. Take a lock, fluff out the middle. Join that middle to your yarn. So get that started. Oof, I gotta turn down my uptake a little bit. Okay, get that started. And then just pull little pieces out into your draft. Now this is good if you want your locks to be a little shorter or a little tighter. Just join the middle and then draft. There are like hundreds of ways of working with locks. The other thing you can do, okay, so this is the cut end, this is the tip end. I'm going to join from the middle, and then I'm going to take this tail end and I'm going to let it suck that up. There we go. Basically, you just have to play around with your spin and figure out what works for you. I personally, this technique, flip the lock forward, grab a little bit of fiber, and draft it down. That one works probably the best. And if you're going for a balanced yarn, this would probably be the technique I would use if I was spinning for singles, because it does give you the most control and the most ability to balance your yarn. I just don't like a singles. I like to ply it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little bit I've spun up. I will take it off the wheel and I will show you how I ply a tailspin yarn. When it comes to plying, you can ply with pretty much anything. What I did with this yarn is I had locks that fell apart. So I took them and I spun a single of the same colors to ply with. But you can also use, this is my mohair core for core spinning. I could use that to ply with. Or I have some lovely silk thread I got from Camage Fiber Arts. I could ply with that. Or I have this Hemingworth metallic thread. And I think, I don't know if I want to ply with that. I think I'll ply with the silk. But you can literally ply with anything. All right. Now, for me, when I'm plying like this, I want my singles coming in from opposite sides. So I'm going to put my thread on my right and just tension up my kite a bit here. And I'm going to put my tail spun singles on my left. And I'll show you why I do that in a minute. So put our ends together and we spun counterclockwise. So now we're going to ply clockwise. I will tie on. And starts plying just normally for this first stretch, which is why I spun just some normal singles to start. All right, so now we come to a lock. This is why I have this on the right and this on the left. I'm going to spin down to the lock, apply to the lock, then I'm going to pull that under, make sure that my lock isn't caught in the ply, and keep spinning. So holding the lock even with the core, I will apply to the base where the lock attaches, move it ahead, and continue to ply. Ply to where the base of the lock, move the lock ahead, and continue to ply. To the base of the lock, move the lock ahead, and continue to ply. It's not hard to ply locks. So have it loose, hold it alongside your core, ply to the base of the lock, move the lock ahead, make sure it doesn't get caught in your twist, and continue to ply. And you can see that this is going on fine, even though I'm using my normal plying head. So, to the base of the lock, move the lock ahead, and continue to ply. There we go. Got wrapped around my finger, but it's not in the twist, so that's fine. And you can see where I've done a different style of tail spinning, it makes it really pop. And you get these little tufts in there, which is a lovely texture. All right, so we're going to spin for texture here. I want to catch that little tail in the ply just to secure it a little better. And you can see where I've spun from the side, then you get even more texture, but it's not going to go anywhere because now it's been plied as well. There we go. onto the base of the lock, flip the lock over, and continue to ply. To the base of the lock, flip the lock over, and continue to ply. I will do a video demonstrating how you can use it in your knit and crochet. I'll do that probably next week, because we all spin these lovely yarns and then we're like, okay, how do I use this and still highlight these lovely locks and all this texture? Like, how are you supposed to use that in a manner that's attractive? Oh, we've got our locks tangled here. There we go. So I'll demonstrate a couple of ways that you can use your art yarns, and not just tail spun, but coil spun or whatever sort of textured art yarn you might have. All right, so that's all my tails. So now I'll just pull the singles together. All right, there we go. And I'll just knot those ends together to hold them there. Put some extra spin in. Fold it back on itself just to hold that twist from escaping, and let it through the orifice. And we'll back off our tension. It's not much, so I'm not going to bother finding my nitty knotty. I'm just going to use my elbow. And there we go. We have applied tail spun yarn. And we'll have all these these ones are long. We'll have all these long tails hanging out. So next I will be spinning for sit and spin. And I believe, because I will be talking at the same time as I'm trying to spin tail spun, and it requires a fair bit of focus, I think what I will do is I will just work with handfuls of fiber instead of extreme tail spinning. I'm going to wait and use my other bag of Teeswater to do extreme tail spinning like this when I can focus. So all of this will be in tomorrow's video for sit and spin. And tomorrow we're going to dive into the Philadelphia experiment. Ooh.